Hey everybody, how are we this week? I'm all up in your face. All right, let's talk about week 7. Plenty to review, not a ton of work to complete. So if I can make it a little bigger for you here. I know that I've gotten that feedback before. Bigger the screen, the better you can read it. Okay, so we are moving on to the research essay. You know I love my acronyms. The RE. Is it Mammoth? Somewhat, I guess. It's the biggest assignment you'll do for me. It's got to be, by the time you turn in for a grade, 7 pages of text long at least. And if you want to be sort of in the running for an A, you're going to think closer to 10. It's going to feel pretty familiar to the research project from last semester, if you had me, and even if you didn't. It's just the stakes are higher. The argumentative bar is much higher. The types of sources that you use/create are a little more challenging, but I think at the end of the day, it's also a much more rewarding process, so that you can write on, basically whatever you like, as long as there's some connection to technology on it, and you're going to go about conducting an argument and, sort of proving that argument. You can't ever really prove an argument, but you can take strides towards making sure that it holds up, it withstands scrutiny. Why did I click on my calendar there? All right, so you're not, like I said, you're not busy in terms of the work that you have to complete. I'm looking pretty. Am I in heaven? Am I in your dreams here with this lighting scheme? You only have an invention journal and some discussion board work this week. Boy, you should be busy in just about every other way imaginable as well in terms of planning it. Reading up on it on many topics. Thinking hard about the topic that you want to spend time with. And so to that end, if you don't spend the appropriate amount of time thinking about what constitutes a quality research question, or really doing your due diligence when it comes to reading up on sources, to really considering the viability of a topic, to bringing me in on your topic deliberations, when you skip over, when you cut those corners, those seams really show later on to me. They're very obvious to me that you didn't put the work in at the front of the assignment, and that's why you're having problems with sort of the back end, the second half of it. So save us both the trouble, you of having to act like you did all this work and knowing when you didn't, and sort of the karma that comes with that, and me having to yell at you. I don't want to yell at you. I want you to succeed with this essay. I want you to be proud of this essay. I want to be proud of you for this essay. So what I can't do is the work for you. This is a lot of this work it's dependent on just you. It's dependent on you doing independent, work on this assignment, and that's something that's very different from College Comp 1. I try my hardest. It's very difficult for me, if I'm being candid, to be more of a hands-off sort of instructor as we get into these higher level 200 level classes, because that's how it works. I think it is my job in College Comp to be a very guiding presence, sort of we're going along this assignment sort of side by side, especially the bigger assignments. And in College Comp 2, I still feel that impulse because my primary class that I teach is one that appears early in a student's college career. Usually your 100 level classes, or your 100 level, your teens level classes, the developmental ones. And so that impulse is still very strong within me, but I have self-control. I can turn it off. And one of the ways I'll do that is by not completely hectoring you and yelling at you and making sure that you honor due dates. That should come out of your final grade, and it shouldn't be something that I chase you down for every single second when I notice you're slacking off. It'll just come out of your grades. Okay. Let's see. Let's move on to happier things. You are heavily encouraged to include me in your topic deliberations. My goodness, is that true? Okay. If we had, if this were a face-to-face class, if we went and met in the K building here on campus or wherever, this coming week we would not have class, and instead I would pass out a sheet of paper with a bunch of times and blank spaces next to it, and you would sign up for one of the times. You would come here to my office. I would show you my office, except it is filthier than usual. I did get this. I'm hanging this up in my office now. So there we go. That's better to look at, isn't it? I have the best daughter in the world. You would come to my office while I got you here. Yeah. You would come here and we would have a very casual conversation about, well, what do you want to write about, or what are you interested in, what what do you want to be when you grow up? What are your professional or academic interests? And we would, through the course of having that conversation, that very casual atmosphere, we would come up with a topic for you to write this research essay on. You would walk out of my door feeling, much better than when you walked in. I would feel better about your prospects of succeeding in this essay. And I don't know, things would go in a much more in a warm sort of a way, in a way that relies on kind of human connection. One that many of you are writing about pretty seriously in your digital Sabbath essays, which is awesome. However, and this is the big however, this is an online class. This is a class that we have to make accommodations for in that way, and so the ability to deliberate about topics, it takes the form of discussion board posts, which, as I'm sure you figured out by now, I'm not the biggest believer in. They're useful for in a sort of a very narrow sense, but I don't know, don't you do them for every class, don't you? You post and reply, and it becomes just sort of this rote sort of factory mentality kind of, I think, emerges. At least I see that in my students' writing. So anyway, we can do this. We can FaceTime. Okay, we can. I can have a Google Hangout. I think I made a list here. Let's see. I can come to your school and discuss topics with you in person. Now, 18 of you in a room. I don't know if I can sit down and have 18 half-hour conversations in one day, but that doesn't mean that I can't try. I would love to try. This is usually, historically speaking, a week where I do make some high school visits. So if that's in the cards this week, let me know. I will be happy to make arrangements on a non-Tuesday and non-Thursday. We can also do individual video conferences, okay, where we can talk to each other, sort of make eye contact. I've done that with a lot of you, and those sorts of things I think matter, and they also save us the trouble of emailing back and forth and waiting on email replies, and this sort of, the herky-jerky nature of email correspondence doesn't serve us as well when it comes to topic deliberations. And I could also do a Google Hangout for small groups, or one of you holds a phone and passes it around while we FaceTime and talk about topics. I think there's lots of ways that we can have these informal conversations that, again, can be quite productive. You can even come visit me, come during my office hours, and we can talk, or set up a Friday meeting with me. I can come meet with you. I'd be happy to. Okay, moving along. And we're 7.5 minutes, so if you want to take a break, you want to click pause and do something else, go right ahead. I think I'll have a sip of coffee. All right. All right, so research question. This hopefully is not a new idea. I know I'm required to teach it in College Comp, so I can assume that whoever else you may have had for College Comp, but you have 6 of you that are new to me this semester, you also know what a research question is as well. So I hope, again, I'm not going to be as big on it this semester as I was last, but a significant something that you can find, a curious behavior, a trend, a statistic, a finding or a prediction, even a person, a text, so to speak. More on that in a minute, but hopefully something jumps out at you. Okay, a recently published article or study is always going to be your most academically responsible way into a research question. So do not sleep on that. Get into the Stark County, get a Stark State Digital Library. You can go to the Stark County Library as well. Get into our library, get into our databases and poke around. Again, I'm going to operate from the assumption that you are remembering all the things I spent so much time teaching you about quality research last semester. I'll apply them this semester by all means. Okay, so examples of research questions. Let me bold that. It's a little harder to see. Okay, why? I love my why questions. Why do we blank? Why do we take pictures of our food in restaurants? That's a fine question. I would love to read on that topic. Okay, should we do it more or less? I think we should do it less. Same with concerts. Whoever goes home and watches the videos that they make. I mean, right? You've been to concerts, right? The whole time, just holding up. And I want to know the people that go home and watch those videos. I've taken them, and I guess I never have. So, anything, especially if it's related to tech, phone related, never a bad idea. And also, I think some of your primary research from previous assignments would be quite useful to you for this assignment if you do that. Where does it come from? So again, same question. Where do we, taking pictures of our food in restaurants, we're taking, videos at concerts. Where does our need to do that come from? Is it because it's just as important that we have an online identity where everybody knows what everybody's doing all the time? I don't know. I think that would be a good question to wonder about. Okay, who's to blame? Pretty close to where does it come from, but not quite different. Let's see. How can we, improve or reduce or prevent or encourage, some sort of proactive verb. Propose something, propose a solution, propose a better way to address a situation, whatever. Best course of action. What does blank say about us? That's if you're at all thinking of being an English major, please proceed with that one because it gives that interpretation. Use the media, choosing to handle X, Y, and Z the way it does. There's lots of ways to get into media coverage that can be very clearly tied to technology. Who are like unperceived or hidden realities behind things. I think a lot of you are learning from your observation essays and especially from your digital Sabbath that that there are hidden realities and costs associated with behaviors that we generally take for granted, especially when they're related to personal technological devices. So if you want to explore that, that's guaranteed to be an argumentative, persuasive type of essay. All right, stay away from position papers. Blank is good, blank is bad. I don't care about those sorts of very simplistic binary judgments. All right, so stay away from, texting and driving. Is it dangerous? Yeah, we all know it's dangerous. So move on. What can we do about it? Where does it come from? There are far richer questions. You can just write that on that subject, no problem. But I'm not going to let you get away with, should we text message while we're driving our cars? You're better than that. Let's see. And if your research question has an obvious or easy answer, pedestrian at best, which is the name of a Courtney Barnett song that I will link to right now because I want to. All right, pause. Okay, I just linked to a music video that I very much like. Courtney Barnett, pedestrian at best. She is awesome. She is an Australian singer who really knows her way around a guitar and a song. She's a brilliant songwriter. Okay, number 3. Let's see. Check out this folder. I just want to see what the interface looks like. Okay, so sometimes you will see an open in Drive if you have an older anything, if you're using a browser that I'm not as familiar with. But all the assignments are in here, presentations on research design, articles, help and examples. Later on, this will be an important tip. Grade my, the link to grading it, and then research essay help. All right, so wrong click. Okay. So feel free to watch those at your leisure. And tell you what, I'm going to skip over this part. I'm going to make it its own screencast just so I can talk, kind of click around and talk about them, about sources and where to look. All right, Invention Journal, number 5, topic exploration. So this is not, you don't have to be completely married to the topic that you make the subject of your 5th Invention Journal. Not at all. So it's just a sort of a snapshot of where you're at right now. So the most important part is what led you to your topic, and you're going to tell me a story. All right. You're also going to talk about the controversy around it. Sorry, I skipped over that. You're going to provide at least one video, a couple of pictures, and some links that help to conceptualize your topic, not only to me, your audience, but to yourself as well. And so you can think about, well, what does my topic look like, out in the world? And that sort of thinking will hopefully propel you towards productive writing. What am I trying to say here? Okay, 6 and 7, I'm going to combine Invention Journals next week. But the last phase of that assignment is, well, what do you say to next year's students? What would you tell my students, in 2018 about what you've learned in 2017 about picking a topic and other things? And so check out some of those because it's advice that will hopefully set you down a productive path. Research questions, discussion forum. These are, I guess, you kind of do IJ5 first, and then you can do the forum a little more easily, I would imagine. And then our textbook, again, I see textbook assignments, textbook readings as supplementary in nature, but they definitely help you and they definitely reinforce. And they reinforce ideas that I emphasize, and they also give you ideas and strategies that I don't spend nearly as much time on for various reasons. So when you skimp over textbook readings, that sort of thing is obvious to me, and that obviousness will reflect itself in your grade. But let's not get too harsh about that just yet. Guys, I want your emails, I want your questions, I want you to let me help you choose a topic that we're both going to be satisfied with. And if the first time I'm learning about your topic is when I'm watching your Invention Journal or reading your discussion board post, or God forbid, reading your rough draft, you're making a high wire balancing act that not a lot of students can pull off. If you try it, I hope you are one of those students. but most of us aren't. And on that cheery note, good luck. Keep in touch.